So it seems that the inevitable is finally upon us, because one thing I've talked about extensively here on the channel, especially during the live streams, is the college football playoff expansion. And today, the college football playoff committee met and voted to expand the college football playoffs to 12 teams in the 2026 season, with there being a possibility it could happen before then. Today, we need to break down what this means. As always, I try and be cognizant of both sides of the issue, so we're going to talk about the pros, the cons, everything in between. But before we can, as always, I need to hear from you. Hop down to the comments, Y for yes, N for no. Do you believe college football playoff expansion is good for college football? And let me know what you're thinking. If you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Hit that bell notification as I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it. And if you enjoyed this content, like and comment down below, as those interactions, though seemingly small, are massive for content creators such as myself. But having said all that, let's jump right into this, because this is news that's shaking the sports world, and deservedly so. College football has massively changed over the past few years, from the introduction to the college football playoff system in general, to now NIL, the transfer portal, and what's to come on the horizon, from conference realignment and now college football playoff expansion. So much has changed so quickly that it's going to be very interesting to see where college football will be within the next 5, the next 10 years. But for right now, let's focus about what's in front of us, and that's the College Football Playoff Committee meeting and voting to expand the college football playoffs to 12 teams in 2026, with the possibility that it could happen before then. And the way they've structured this is that the 6th highest ranking conference champions will get an automatic bid, and then the 6th highest ranking at-large teams will then get a bid as well, making up your 12 teams. So is this good or bad for college football? And let's start with where this is good. First and foremost, I love college football. You're going to have a real hard time getting me to argue that more college football is a bad thing, especially big-time games. And these are going to be big-time games. The thought here is that expanding the college football playoffs will only increase the amount of parity that's present within college football. Giving 12 teams an opportunity to go and play for a national championship can create more upsets, more huge games in prime time when the stakes are the highest. And for that, I can understand it, because there's going to be years where a major upset occurs and a team that most everybody thought would be making it to the national championship, or at least contending for it, was booted out early. That is something that we are going to see, and in that, I do find there to be something positive about that. The fact that we will have new and intriguing matchups, the fact that more teams can actually make a run at a national championship, I do find to be compelling, but at the cost of what? Because one thing we need to understand as college football fans is one of the things that separates college football from really every other sport, and that's how important it is to win. Because traditionally in college football, one loss can completely derail your season. And if you have 2 losses, majority of the times, you're not going to make it to the college football playoffs. And certainly, the shot of contending for a national championship is all but done. College football isn't unique in that aspect that every given Saturday has so much emphasis, so much meaning placed upon it. So yes, we will get more college football playoff games, but at the cost of the importance of the regular season. That's going to be something that's tough for many people in college football to swallow, including myself. And like I said, I always try and look at things through both lenses to get an understanding of the pros, the cons of every single situation, and that's exactly what I'm trying to do here. Because there is going to be opportunities for major upsets, major games, and teams that may not have gotten that opportunity in a 4-team playoff that will shock the world, but at the cost of what makes college football so great. And I'm certainly not contending here that that aspect of college football will all but dissipate once the college football playoff expands. I don't believe that to be the case. But in a sport that is so run on meritocracy, eliminating any of that is going to massively change how the sport operates. So that's one thing that I've been super interested in, because there's always going to be a cause and effect. If you watch my videos, you hear me talk about the transfer portal being a pendulum, how you're going to lose players, but you now have the opportunity to gain players. And the same here. You're going to gain more college football playoff games, but at the expense of the regular season not meaning as much. And one thing I've seen consistently on Twitter, or whatever social media platform it is, I've seen people talking about how, well, this is actually good because my team can now play second, third in a conference and have a legitimate shot at making a college football playoff. And while I can easily understand the excitement of the fan, at some level, it does feel a little bit cheapened that we went from a system that emphasized winning every single Saturday to one that says you can finish third in your division, fourth in your division, and still have a legitimate shot at contending for a college football playoffs. Now, finishing fourth in your division and trying to do that is going to be next to impossible, but the scenario could certainly play out where that's the case. And because of that, that's where it's going to get very interesting. Now, one argument that we must talk about is that this is going to bring parity to college football. And while yes, it is going to bring parity in the sense of more teams are going to literally compete in a college football playoff game, I don't know that that parity is going to be something we see at the rate so many people are contending. Because one thing we haven't really seen in the college football playoffs since their existence are these major upsets that everybody is so excited about seeing. Now, I understand. It's a simple numbers game. You increase the amount of playoff games on, you exponentially increase the odds that there will be an upset. I completely understand that. But if all things are held equal, we really haven't seen it that much in our regular playoff structure, albeit there's only 4 teams. Whenever I look at this, someone on Twitter made a great point. Travis Davidson, a friend of the show, someone who's been on the live streams before, someone who I hope to have back on live streams again, tweeted something out that I do agree with. Whenever we look at college football playoffs last year, Alabama took care of Cincinnati with relative ease. I don't believe the answer is then, okay, well, if Alabama disposed of the number 4 team in the nation with relative ease, let's feed them the number 11 team in the nation, or the number 12 team in the nation, or you get my logic. If the number 4 team in the nation, who had been a very good football program all year long, couldn't really make a dent in Alabama in that game, it's going to be tough to convince a lot of people that a team that was ranked 10th, 11th, or 12th could have done it. Like I said earlier, with everything, there is a cause and effect. We want more college football games. The effect is that the regular season, something that makes college football so unique, is going to be different. And we also need to understand this is going to have an adverse effect for bowl games as well. At the point where you're expanding the amount of college football playoff games there are, the importance of these bowl games are going to diminish, and bowl games are something that have been major in college football for quite some time. I mean, growing up as a college football fan, I can't tell you how much I looked forward to New Year's 6 bowls. It was something that every single year I was so excited to get to see. Now, the reverse of that argument is that, sure, the importance of bowl games may be diminished, but you're also increasing the amount of college football playoff games there are, and there's more implications, there's far more riding on college football games than there are bowl games. And I do agree with that point, but it's just kind of the history, the pageantry that's gone into college football that's not going to be there, or at the very least, isn't going to be there with the same fervency and the same ferocity that we've come to expect. And this is something that we've seen happen when the college football playoff was introduced, that the bowl games did take a hit, and we can imagine if that hit was felt in a 4-team expansion, imagine what that looks like when it's 12. This is something that will have an adverse effect for these bowl games. So it is something that is not without its effects. In fact, if you go on Twitter, both sides are arguing this point fiercely because there are 2 ways of looking at this, and this is a discussion I'm really interested in having and why I wanted to make a video in this. Because at the end of the day, we can talk about how this is for parity, this is to give other teams an opportunity. This is about money. And the money that's being made in college football and how much of it there is, as this is a $1 billion deal, and I think we need to remember that and why all this is happening. Parity may happen, but at what cost? Something we have to see. Hop down to the comments, let me know what you're thinking about this, because this is major news in college football. That's it. See ya.